Had the team throw that together. Hopefully, you guys first time you guys got to see it.
I like that energy.
Yeah, let's go. One big fire.
I always have a hat on, so that's something it's my moniker.
That reminded me of last week. Harley and I hitting AC/DC. I felt the energy, baby, the thunderstruck energy. That was like when I saw that intro. I'm like, that sounded like last week. We were at AC/DC.
Yeah, baby.
It's amazing how music can take you back and put you in certain things. Like I hear every time I hear hustling, I think of Cuz driving in from Pecan Valley every day, and I hear Al, your favorite bands. It's just amazing how music will trigger certain things and create that a level of awareness, and it's pretty spectacular, pretty amazing.
Yes, indeed, sir.
Oh, so fellas,
music gets you moving.
Get you moving, man. It's all about momentum, right? Big Mo. And I know we're definitely going to dive into that. And, here we are kicking off, the last month of the second quarter. And, we were chopping it up a little bit before we went live. And I know you were on with some folks out of the UK, and it's an interesting climate right now. Not just here in the States and up north, but globally. And so, being able to be in this business model to really start to unlock, the connections and really from a global impact has been pretty dang amazing to see what's happening. And I think that perspective has also lended, to way we look at things and handle things, and especially from an EXP perspective. And I remember, Leo sharing on stage at Agent to CEO Cleveland last year, just talking about, the NAR pushes and what people were wanting to push and push NAR away. And it's like, guys, listen, like here, you got to understand what they're fighting for us. And if that unlocks, then we go to what all of the other markets, in the other countries around the world aspire to be with their real estate. And so, really looking at kind of the direction and the climate. And I know we're going to get into momentum, but really just having a level of awareness, man. And I know that's what we're going to touch on today, but we talk about it all the time, right? A fish doesn't know above water until it gets above water. And I think that's kind of the situation with a lot of folks, a lot of agents, and some are finally waking up. They're coming to a level of awareness. And so, just interesting times for sure.
Yeah, man. I'd like to kind of kick this off by starting in reverse. Like, what causes someone not to find that mo, to get the mo, like the momentum and get it going? Like, once you have it, it's almost like kind of like a magic carpet, right? It just starts getting faster, smoother.
That's such a great question, Al. That's such a great question. Dude, I was thinking about this. I was laying in bed last night, and it just like I couldn't go to sleep, and my brain was just moving, probably like most nights. But you know what I think it is, as much as anything, especially with models like ours, it's belief. Like if there's a point where when you believe that you'll run through walls, you'll do whatever it takes, and then as soon as that belief gets dampened, man, that changes everything. And think about that. Like when right now, my belief is the highest it's been since I've been at EXP that we are going to the moon. Like you could not convince me that there's any other place an agent should be than with us right now. And so with that comes 14-hour days and grind. And if you can get that moment, if you don't have that momentum, that means maybe the belief's getting dampened by things that are happening around you. Right. And so that it seems to be, and I'm thinking more about, I don't think about I always think about EXP, who's our competition. These legacy brands are dying. And then you've got, okay, maybe we have some competition in these upstarts, but we don't. But that was what most of what I would consider our competition was going to be, because they were trying to recruit from us. And so they're just not, they've lost momentum. They lost all their momentum early. And I can tell you that the belief that, if you're over there and you're like, I can't get an answer to this question, I can't get help with this, that it doesn't take much to diminish belief And if you don't solve that with the right people, with a lot of money and the right people in the right places and the right leaders in the right places, think about it. Like, there was a time at EXP when I didn't have a lot of belief in Canada. If you recall, we had the wrong people in the seat, and it was not good. And you couldn't convince me that I needed to go to Canada and start recruiting, because I'm like, we got a problem, and until this problem gets solved, I don't believe this is going to work over there, right? Like, there was a time where that was the case, not the case anymore, but and so you got to wonder, what are the things that are happening within these companies where belief is getting diminished? That's my thought.
Yeah. So what triggers belief, right? So belief is just the collection of our thoughts and the way we think, right? And we think something the same way over a period of time, that forms that belief, either empowering or disempowering. But what drives it is people and circumstance. And so it's just to your point right there. And I think, if you're an agent, you're out there struggling and your belief system is getting challenged, I would challenge you who you surround yourself with, right? And the people, and it's just like we were talking about the right people at the right time. As EXP was growing, we had the right leaders for the right situation to be able to navigate, the waters and the terrain. So you guys anybody listening in, man, if you're struggling and your beliefs are being challenged, the way you're thinking, some inaccurate thought, the first thing I would do is just question who you're spending your time with, who you're surrounded with.
Guys, yeah. I gotta tell this quick story, because when you said belief, and the first word that was going to come out of my mouth, John, and you just said it was in a different way, was environment. And it means that you might have to change your environment. Mm-hmm. Said differently, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, right? And so the first time that I can look back and actually, like, there's a distinct moment in my timeline where everything changed. It was the moment I went to EGS in 2010. I flew there. I did not know anybody. I barely had any room on my credit card because I was damn broke from the market that beat the hell out of me, right? And I met you guys. Didn't know you. Didn't know anybody from Adam. But the minute I got in that room, I knew I was in just a different place, a place I've never, and it wasn't like the location in Dallas. It was a different place, meaning like among these people, it was a different environment. They thought differently. They dreamed bigger. Mm-hmm. And it forced me to up my game of what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. I was complacent. I was hungry, don't get me wrong, but like, I just wasn't thinking big enough. I wasn't challenging myself enough. So when I got in that room, it was November of 2010, everything changed. And my belief, that's what happened. What happened was I all of a sudden believed that I could go from 50 sales to 150 sales to 350 sales. I believed it because I saw the environment I was in.
You saw plenty of evidence that it was possible around you too. Right. Yeah. So that goes back to the story I tell about going to Proctor the very first time. And, I'm sitting next to a guy named Steve Garten, and we're in the back, and they passed out the coaching, and it was $12,000. And I was like, that's so much money. Like, to me, I couldn't even, it was just beyond my thinking. I was literally making fun of it. I was like, how much is 12,000 in Canada? Like, what is this? How much is this? This is ridiculous. And then the guy gets up that's sitting next to me that I wasn't talking to the whole time. And he go up to the mic and he's like, yeah, I sold 400 and something homes last year. And I look over at him. I'm like, what? Like 400? Like, I was like, fuck it, I'm signing up. Put it on 2 credit cards, but you get in the right rooms where you can't think small. You can't leave and go back, and your brain doesn't go back to thinking small. You saw what all is possible. And like, you can't not see it. And so I think the evidence is important, seeing that it's possible. But the minute, then you go back, how long does that last when you get, your teeth kicked in on your first 8 FSBOs you called, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
Well, as soon as that happens, that's why it goes back to your circle, right? Who's there closest to you that is going to, help you maintain that energy that you picked up, wherever that shot of momentum, wherever that shot of adrenaline, wherever that shot of energy. Because if you come back and then it's like, Debbie Downer and you got the black clouds around you, that's where you just got to be like, hold on. I got to get my people. I got to get my people right. And once that happens, then it's anything's possible, right? It goes back to the one of our favorite videos with Jim Collins, right? Who first? Who?
I watched that again just the other day.
I love that. It's so good, right? It is, and that's why when you look at the conveyor belt right? And we talk about theory of constraints and where everything starts. We ultimately want results. And like Al said, let's reverse engineer and take it back to what drives results. It all starts with environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that way changes what you're just talking about, how you're thinking and your belief system, and then you feel like you can take over the world, and then you act like you can take over the world, and then you eventually take over the world. And so, like, us, I mean, we always go to the source, right? And so the source is, if you're not getting the results, check who you're spending time with.
Yep. What's up, Jason? What's up, Kevin?
All right, guys, I want to take you guys through the momentum exercise. Al's gone through this before. It's exercise that we always do at KT, and it's so freaking spot on, because what it does is it drills you down to, what is my next step? What am I going to do to continue this momentum? So if you guys are out there and you're like, man, things are rocking, I can't quite put my finger on it of what it is. And the same is true, right? So the whole exercise is momentum and drag. So where are you getting the tailwind? Where is things working? And then the other is like, man, where I got a headwind? Where do I got the boat anchor that's slowing me down? What boat anchor do I cut? Right? I might have a couple boat anchors, but what's slowing me down? That's the opposite, the other, part of this exercise. But I really want to focus on the momentum, because that's what we were talking about. Was we've got a ton of momentum right now in a very, very challenging market, not just here in the States, but globally. It's a really tough market. And I just saw one of the topics where they were showing 35% more homes to sell than buyers out there. So the demand is low, inventory is rising in a lot of markets and a lot of pockets. But if you're out there, you're finding momentum, here's the exercise to kind of go through it. So I want to tee it up for you guys here. And we were talking about just, we feel it, but where do you specifically feel that we are experiencing the greatest momentum right now? There's the sticker.
Yeah. So when you say, where do I feel it? I mean, if I wanted to point to it, I would be like, take a look at my calendar. I'm doing 15 to 18 three-way calls a day with agents that are coming over. So, that to me is like, it's like when we look at the pending ratio in the real estate market, it's kind of the tattletale to what's coming. Like, I can just tell you that the agents are coming. Like the agents are coming, they're coming. And so like there's leading indicators that are driving that, but that's where quality conversations per day are higher than they've ever been. That's where I feel the momentum the most.
I love that, because you nailed what is the most important thing right now. And I saw Beer made his post today, and I've heard a lot of people about it. It comes down to conversations. And really, what is a conversation? And I think so that would be, the answer, right? I'm experiencing more meaningful conversations.
Yep.
Yeah. So you just hit on something. When the audience is listening to that, what Jay says is that's 15 to 18 scheduled conversations. These aren't just phone calls. Like he's not making like 18 calls and maybe 10 are picking up. These are actually scheduled calls. So the question becomes like, how do you get
scheduled calls with a qualified person that has seen the offer and is now, it's a listing presentation or a buyer presentation.
That's exactly where I was going to go into. Is like, if your goal is to list 50 homes and sell 50 listings this year, how many conversations, like I'm talking on a Zoom or per face-to-face, shoulder to shoulder with a seller, are you getting per day, per week? That's your metric that we're talking about here. And once you start, I want you to let's stick on this for a second, because when it comes to listing homes, very similar, not the same, but very similar to, listing agents and attracting agents and helping them grow, right? It is a long game, but B, it's about how many quality conversations. That is the measuring stick to success and getting momentum. You could be having these meetings and maybe you're striking out. You could have 10 and strike out 10 times. Now we're not. They're actually all jumping in the boat. We got the momentum. The momentum's back. We lost it for a minute. And I wrote down, boat anchors. That's brilliant, John. What were the boat anchors holding? I know what the boat anchors that were holding us back. And it was a lot of the negative Nancy's, just negative Nancy's, people are always finding, things can be great and you're always going to find, somebody to find something wrong with it. Right. So I deleted those negative Nancy's away from me, right? Because they do have an effect. That's part of the environment. And for me personally, I don't know, I think it's going on 60 days ago, I deleted Facebook from my, as you guys know, from my phone. I didn't delete Facebook account. I need that for work, right? But I only was using my laptop. What that did is it deleted the anchors that were holding me back mentally. Every time I went on there and saw someone being hateful to somebody else, a lot of times it was even realtors or hateful politically or all this garbage. I started losing faith in humanity. I have a choice. Delete that shit. So I just deleted it. I had like one of the most relaxing, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't relaxing work-wise, but it let me focus heavily more on the more important things, which is family and my career, just by getting rid of those negative Nancy's. So what anchors are holding you back? I love that, John.
Yeah.
Voting.
And, the question that once you've identified it, like you just did, the question on the boat anchor side of things is, what is it going to cost you if you don't address it or eliminate it? That's the follow-up question, right? Oh, yeah. What's it going to cost you if you don't eliminate that? And so it's there comes the awareness, right? Like, oh shit, right? I got to do something about this. So it's super key. But back on the momentum side, right? So, if we say, man, I'm experiencing more qualified conversations, then the follow-up question is, okay, well, why is that important for you, your goals, what you're trying to accomplish? Why qualified conversations dramatically more? Why is that important?
Well, I mean, it's the leading indicator of agents recruited, which is the result I'm after.
I take it a step further and say that the other thing to add to that, Jay, is that a quality conversation has to happen between two people. In other words, it's not just one person trying to pitch the other or sell the other or clobber them over the head with some, feature dump. It's a conversation where that person's telling you, hey, I'm trying to get from here to here. Can you help me?
Right.
And they're sincerely engaged in the conversation. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
What's crazy? So we've always talked about, from a marketing perspective, avatar, ICP, things like that. And I touched on it a little bit last week, and I haven't had a chance to dive into it anymore, but he was just talking about, he said, man, we know people only buy results. And he said, I'm going to take it a step further. People just want a job done. Right. So, like, what job can you do for me? That's really, at the end of the day, that's what people want. Dan Kennedy's even talking about it. He's like, listen, the days of courses and things like that, to where, people will buy your course. They don't want that. They want the job done. They want the experience. They want you to just do it for them. They just want you to solve it. That's why there's momentum, right? There's why that's important. And then the question is to further create some more awareness. Right. Once why this is super important to you, is what existing resources most support this momentum. Great. We have qualified conversations in the calendar. But what other resources are really supporting this momentum right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely the team that we built, right? So, the fact that it's kind of like, I think about it like, whenever I had delegated everything in my real estate business to the point that I was only going on listing appointments, and I didn't have to go take the photos and do, I didn't even present the offers. Like, we had, Carla was the, listing
certified
negotiation expert. Like, that was me doing what was the highest dollar productive activity in the least amount of time, and everything else was off my plate. And so it's the same with this. Is we're making an offer. We got a team that delivers on the back end. It removes all of the heaviness of when you made a promise and now you got to go do all those things. It's having the right people around you and the right resources around you. And that's been, that's by design what we built with Accelerate and Funnel Pilot. So it's the team's ability to execute that and doing it at scale that's allowed me to have more conversations. Otherwise, I'd have a conversation and now I got to onboard you. Now I got to build your ads. Now I got to do your branding. Now I got to do your social. Like, it's having the right systems and people around you so that you're doing the one thing that's the most productive?
Dude, it's the process, right? So, we nailed a lot of things. We really nailed CHSA, right? So we really nailed the process of generate an opportunity, right? People that are reaching out to you, right? They're reaching out to you. It's not the cold outreach. It's like they're trying to get into the boat. And then it's a conversation, set the appointment, qualify the appointment, pre-sell the appointment, execute on the appointment, build rapport first, then articulate the value of the system to help them accomplish X, Y, or Z to get where they want to go. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you believe that this is the best system to help you get to Florida? Absolutely, this is the best system. And great, as long as we can agree upon price, we're going to position your home. We're ready to go today. Yep, boom, sign, paperwork, all the pre-marketing, everything, all the demand hits, offer negotiated, then it just goes right down the conveyor belt, right? Like when you break that apart, like we freaking nailed that system. And that system is duplicatable because it works on the buy side. It works with attracting agents. It works. Right. And so I think nailing that, right? And so when I go back to that question and I look at it and I go, okay, what existing resources most support this momentum? I default to the system. I default back to the process, right? To me, once you have that, because otherwise it's just a shot in the dark, right? It's just randomness. And that doesn't, to me, that's not sustainable. I think you have to build the system. Yeah. You have to build the conveyor belt for sustainability.
Right. I think, and I don't know if this would be a resource, but I think I wrote, I always do. I mean, we're the one doing we're hosting the podcast, and I always take a page of notes. So,
I got mine here too.
I know, right?
So days of selling courses is done. Today, agents buy results. That's what. So I think like that comment, the ingredient on that is the right result. It's the right result. We're solving the right problem.
Right.
We get hit. I mean, if you're an agent listening to this, I guarantee you, if you're like me, you're getting hit up twice a day, 3 times a day, 5 days a week by marketers trying to get their with their hand. They want your credit card, right? They're going to try to sell you something. And most of the time, 99% of the time, it's not solving the right problem in your business. And of course, in order to do that, you need to have clarity, go through the clarity report. I don't even know. It's clarityreport.com, whatever it is. You can get one free and get clear. But once you're clear on the problem, now you can focus on the solution and getting those results. I mean, that's a brilliant thing. You can buy the course. Shit, you can get just about any course on anything right on YouTube for free and not even have to buy it. But they want results. And I think one of the biggest things, like we talk about going back to boat anchors, one of the biggest boat anchors that people are experiencing right now is overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're both feeling overwhelmed with all the things in your business right now, you got to cut that anchor. So guys, I want to ask you guys, Jay, John, either of you, whoever wants to jump in, when you have felt overwhelmed in your business and you knew you need to cut that anchor so you can get back and get that momentum going again, what's 1 or 2 things like that you do to eliminate overwhelm?
Chat GPT or Grok?
Yeah,
I know for me, it's strategic planning. It's the 90-day process. It's sitting down, going through it. Now you can have an assistant with you. You could have ChatGPT. You could have Grok. You could have whatever learning, element that you want to have a conversation with. And to me, I know because we just keep grabbing more, right? And the question is, man, what do we need to stop doing? Right? That's the question. It's like, dude, what do we need to stop? And Al, to your point, it might be eliminate social media from your damn phone, right? It might be that simple of a thing, right? But if you don't pause, get out of your day-to-day to where you can just get into an environment to reflect and be creative. I mean,
you're 100% right, John. Like, so Harley we were in the coaching, the agent attraction coaching calls that we do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And Harley was trying to pin me down for a priority. And, what are you committed to this week? And I was like, quit trying to pin me down, bro. Like, I ain't sure yet what my priority is. And I was like, and he kept pushing. And I finally was like, it's the strategic planning. Like, if I don't get to a place where I know what the next move is out of all the moves that can be made, and I don't get to clarity on that, then you're gonna have a hard time pinning me down, because I don't want to commit to something and it not be the right thing.
100%.
And so that's why June 6th we have strategy and everybody's coming in. Al, I was going through the last time we did strategy for Honey Badger Nation, and I read through what would it look like if it were easy, and all the things that I went through everything, all our challenges, the issues, everything. Dude, we removed all of those things with what we built with Accelerate. I never even went back and looked at the document, but I was blown away at how the problems that we had identified and the things that we were trying to do, that we actually solved all those problems. It was fascinating. But this is, again, going back to what you're saying, John, like, either you know what the problem is and what are all the ways and what's the right next step, or you don't, right? Like, that's what in coaching that we've given you that clarity. But I know that if you're overwhelmed as an agent, and that you're feeling overwhelmed, there's probably things that should come off your plate, number one. But if you don't know what the next move is, it's getting clear on what is going to increase the conversations per day you have with people that want to buy and sell and open the buying, doing business with you. And if you can find the best solution to that, you can say, well, it's probably not YouTube and me building a bunch of videos and throwing them on YouTube and hoping that the algorithm treats me right. And then maybe a year from now I'll make a sale. That didn't increase conversations per day. Right. So I was like, you got to understand, like, fundamentally, if you want to sell more real estate, you have to increase conversations per day you have with people that want to buy and sell and are open to doing business with you. Period.
End
of discussion.
Period.
And if it don't do that, it ain't the right thing. And now, what are all the ways to do that? Hey, we can prospect. We can do lead gen. There's a bunch of ways. And now what's the bet? Now it becomes, well, what's the right next step for me? Right. Mm-hmm. And that's where, that's what, it's why we're recruiting so much, because I know the fastest way. I could try to convince you. We used to sell a thing called Market Maker. I don't know, John, if you remember Market Maker, but Market Maker meant you had to make your own market.
Don't piss me off, cuz. Come on, man. Let's have a good day.
One of the dumbest things we ever did, trying to convince people to make calls. Like, not to say that it doesn't work. It absolutely works. But not everybody. Most people are going to be like, you mean I have to make calls all day? I got to make 100 calls, 200 calls, $500 a day to hit the goal? Okay, well, what if I could get you the same number of conversations by running an inexpensive ad that creates a qualified lead? There's other ways. Okay, well, I'd rather do it this way, right? And so anyway, it's funny, but you nailed it, John. Like, the whole thing is understanding how do you taking that time out of the business to determine what's causing all the, like, and a lot of times it's a system or a process, right? Like, we
always comes down to it.
Where's the fire burning the brightest right now? Is it because you took too many listings and you can't get them onboarded and get all the pictures taken? Or is it, where's the biggest problem? And it's usually going to be, you solve almost all evils with, increasing conversations per day with people that want to buy and sell.
So spot on. I think, the first question that you got to keep coming back, right, is what's the goal? Right? Really, what is the goal? Pressure test the vision. Is that still the vision? Am I still committed to that? Right. And understand committed and obsessed, not just interested. And so I think that's once you like, I'm good. The goal is the goal. Awesome. All right. Then let's look at what system is bottlenecked or not holding you or not helping you get there. But it doesn't happen unless you create the space for you to think through that. And, for you guys listening in, 90 days, no more than 90 days. I know at my core, because we've been doing this every quarter since 2010 for every business we've been in. And I feel it. When we go more than 90 days, I start to feel it. I know it. But if you're moving fast, and I remember Carlos German was the very first client that I ever took through this, because he was moving so fast, we went every 30 days. Yeah. And on the 30-day cycle, it's really Sam, right? It's sales and marketing. And you just kind of IDS, right? What are our issues? Let's have a discussion. What are we moving to solution? And these are all the things we could do, but what will we do in the next 30 days? So if you're out of whack and you're feeling overwhelmed, man, carve out a day, carve out 2 days, get out of your day to day, like go somewhere to where you just actually can be at peace and just be creative and just do the work. Actually, like, just ask yourself that question, right? Like, where are we winning? Where are we losing? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, right? What start doing, keep doing, stop doing. So it is the most crucial time. And I was reminded of this from actually Roland Frazier. And he's like, dude, he said, one of the things that got him, and when they were building everything to the point that he did religiously every week, was strategic thinking time. And he said, what I would do 60 to 90 minutes every week, I would assess where we're at in relation to our goals. I would check the scorecards, and then I would ask myself 3 questions. Where are we winning? Right? What's broke or what's about to break? And then what do we need to stop doing? And man, I've been doing that for about the last 6 weeks since I was reminded of that. And I'm like, dude, that's like my best time, right? On a Sunday or a Saturday out on a walk, just thinking through those things, man. Where are we winning? What's about to break? It might be you, right? Listening in. It might be like, dude, I'm about to tap out. Like, I'm redlined all the way across. Okay, well then what do we need to stop doing? What do we need to stop doing?
Man, you hit something there, Jay. You know, if you're listening to this and you heard him say the words like, is it about 100 calls? I saw Patrick Lee. He popped in there. What's up, Patrick? He's like, I had Market Maker. I had it too. We all got the scars, my friend. But, you know, don't get me wrong. If you're dead broke right now, and you're listening to this and you're trying to grow your real estate business, hit the phones. Do it.
It absolutely works.
Do it. You know, but here's the thing. I've never heard of the best telemarketer beating the best online marketer. The online marketer always wins. Always. And to kind of, you know, put an exclamation point on that is like, what's happening right now? There's telemarketing laws just keep going up and up and up. The DNC, they're coming down harder on the fines, you know, if they're on the list, whatever. Nobody wants to answer the phone anyway. My phone rings at least 20 to 25 times with numbers that say comes up spam. Like, nobody answers these calls, right? Unless it's Grant Cardone's. Those fucking guys, like Grant Cardone.
I bet I've blocked 100. I don't know how many phone numbers they have in rotation, but I've blocked all the ones in every small town in Oklahoma. I know that.
It didn't get me, but he tried to get me today. I didn't answer. Not today, Satan. He didn't get me, but and I'm not calling Grant Satan, but whatever. You know, it's the telemarketing that has constraints on it. If your business is teetering solely on one oil well, and that oil well involves you calling, making phone calls and hoping people answer, you know, it could be disrupted quickly versus mastering the art of a funnel, mastering the art of marketing and putting out something, you know, a piece of marketing, a video, whatever it is, and mastering an ad. That's what we've been doing for agents just in Honey Badger Nation for the last, 4 years when you trained Braden on how to write ads, Jay.
Yep.
And now it's you know, it's come for full circle.
Oh, it's the most fun I've had. It's the most fun in marketing I've ever had because of Grok and Chat GPT. Like, if you really think about it, if you can take a picture and image of a house that you can run an ad, say just listed with this particular property, or you could put the property address and the price bracket into Grok and say, what are the most likely buyer profiles for the buyer for this home in Frisco, Texas, new construction, this address, this price. It'll give you so much creepy information about what it's probably a married couple in a tech job, probably working at Toyota or whatever, right? Somewhere close by. They have kids ages 6 and 7. Their biggest concern is schools. How hard is it to start creating content when you have that much information about the most likely buyer, the person that most likely is going to click on that? Now you can create content where they go, oh my God, that's me. Like that's literally me. I'm moving from California. Like you can create, and again, somebody that's not going to watch that video because it doesn't resonate, that's fine. But the person that it does, you built a lot of trust real quick because now they're like, oh my God, this person is talking directly to me. Yeah. And so it's just easier today to do things that we couldn't do in the past. And we can generate the lead at $3 a lead.
I got to share with you something. Literally right before this podcast, I was on a recruiting call, right? I had 4 in a row, whatever. Last guy said, man, when I was watching Jay's webinar, I felt like he was talking right to me. Like this was my, you know what I'm saying? Like when you nail it, you nail it. And if you've been running ads, listen close to me. If you've been running Facebook ads, if you've been making videos and nothing's working, you need to reach out to us. Okay. You're just missing one little component. The good news is your effort's there, but you could keep trying to push a boulder up a hill. And if you weigh 180 pounds and the boulder's 380 pounds, you probably ain't going to get it up over that hill. So, reach out, get in the right environment. Let us help you get momentum. Because here's the cool thing. We get you started, right? Like we get that. We get that. We'll get behind you and help you start getting that boulder. And we will get the boulder up and over for you. And then you get the ride on the way down. And that's when that momentum's kicking, right? Like you got to get the momentum. And if you're stuck, you just got to get in the right environment.
I got to tell you, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to ask, with that momentum and you look at where you're going, and this is, once you have it, this is the fun question, right? What would allow us to go faster, right? Because even fast people want to go fast. Slow people definitely want to go fast. So it's like, we've got the momentum, the flywheel's turning. Okay, well, can we do something that would accelerate this, make it go even faster? So that's where you get into that fun, the fun question. Once you identify and you can say pinpoint where the momentum is, right? Then it's like, okay, how can we improve this to go faster?
Right. No, it definitely is. It's interesting. This is interesting. And I had this thought the other day, and I was kind of bewildered by it as I'm getting prepared for this strategy meeting on Friday. And I'm like, the one thing that's not going to be priority for at least from this business unit's perspective is marketing and sales. Marketing and sales isn't a problem. Like, this goes down to I have to think, because I've never been in a business unit where the number one thing wasn't marketing and sales. Like a priority that was going to flush out was probably going to be something marketing and sales related every single time. I'm actually 1-to-1. I can make a sale anytime I want. I can bring on somebody and increase the capacity of agents recruited. And it's because we nailed the offer. Like I know and this goes to whether you're selling real estate or you're recruiting agents. When you understand the biggest problem better than they do, you can create, and then you create the best possible solution. Then everything is infinitely easier. Like everything gets infinitely easier at that point. And so
where you're thinking about, because there's only 4 levers, right? So you got traffic, you got conversion. And if those aren't the levers, right, it's like, okay, well, what else is there? Well, there's fulfillment, right? Are we fulfilling at a world-class level on our world-class promise? And then the other one, guys listening in, it's retention, right? Right. It's one, to get them, it's to fulfill, but can we keep them? And I'm going to go back to the statistic from EXP, is that if you can get them to more than 20 units per year, they ain't leaving. The statistics are there. Almost 99% of the agents doing more than 20 transactions per year do not leave this company. Yep. You guys have to understand that. That's why production leads. That's why this damn company has the best producers on the planet. Yep. And it's only going to continue that way. So the retention tool, get them to 20 deals, right? And that's kind of where you're thinking now. You're in the fun side, right? You're on the fulfillment and the retention side.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's, I can see, I think of Herbie's fat ass all the time, he's
always there.
Yeah. And the cool thing about what I've been able to do today that I couldn't do as easily in the past is we can leverage AI to improve upon processes in ways that we never could before. And so where a lot of those challenges would be, add another person, which it has been in the onboarding process, because I already had to add another full-time onboarder. And I think I need to just relook at it with a different lens of, okay, how could we automate, certain parts of this and shorten the amount of time it takes and still create that feeling of, personal touch. But it becomes very much focused on process improvement and just keeping your eye on, okay, where's Herbie at? It's going to bottleneck somewhere. And as long and I was ahead of it, right? Cause like I'm on calls a month before they're getting to Tracy. And, in 3 weeks in a row of 18 calls a day, I'm like,
you know what it is, cuz
this next push, right?
It's exactly what we did with Carla. It's riding the train. That's the only thing to do, man. You just got to go ride the train and watch the work being done. How is the work getting done? Watch it. Just literally sit right there and watch the work.
Yep.
And do we need a system improvement? Okay. Do we need to be empowered with AI somewhere? Oh, if we need a human, then let's go get a VA, right?
Right. Yep.
To stay in the salary cap game before you bring, like, where I'm pushing everybody is like, I challenge you before you put a body in there, improve it all the way you can with automations, with AI before you put a human in there.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, listen, guys. The number one brokerage on the planet is being run with custom GPTs.
Yep.
Think about that. Like what Glenn has built and how they run every department, every function is off of custom GPTs. And if they can run the number one brokerage on the planet with GPTs, I promise you all the other businesses out there can be run with a lot of AI support. So here's the question, because now it's about action. You've gone through this process. You've identified where the momentum is. You know what's happening. You know where we could do it. You know what's supporting it. You know how we can go faster. Well, what will you do? Like, what's the next action steps that you're going to take immediately out of here? Because it's all about action. What is the next action steps coming out of here? And this is the same for you, Al, as you were talking about with the boat anchors, right? Well, what's it costing you not to address it? What are you going to do to address it? What's your next action step coming right out of here, right? We can talk about it, but what will we do about it leaving this?
I love it, man. Yeah. I mean, what's it costing you? That's where you really want to twist the knife, start doing the math on what it's costing you, right? I mean, it's hard for us to even calculate that for us, right?
Yeah.
But we know that if we completely take our foot off the gas, what it could cost us, and I believe we're about to double. I do believe that, Jay. I said it 60, 90 days ago. I was like, dude, that team you put together, I mean, we're going to be doubling. Yeah. And so I don't know, like as far as boat anchors right now for us personally, man, I don't know. I think I've cut them. They're at the bottom of Lake Erie right now.
Yeah. I feel like I'm hanging onto the steering wheel, flapping in the wind.
Remember, Herbie's fat ass is always somewhere.
I'll tell you what.
He's gonna sit down on you somewhere.
This is that productive paranoia that I have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got that shit. Like, I wake up every day thinking fucking something's about to go wrong. Where is it? I mean, let's fucking find it. Like, that's when
I love that.
The
lesson there is that you better have the visibility, right? You guys listening in, you better have the trackers, you better have the visibility, because there's a lot of folks, right? They're in the aircraft. For a lot of people, it's pitch black outside. They're in a thunderstorm and they're heading into a mountain range. And I always love to ask my pilots what will happen. And they go, oh, you'll die. Like there's no, like, you're going to die. So getting that visibility is so key. And I mean, because you can speak all day about that, being able to have the trackers, because that's how you find Herbie.
The data
will tell you.
The data don't lie.
I'll tell you this, the one anchor we cut is we stopped worrying about the competition, because if you do that, they exist. And right now they don't exist because we're focused right here. So if you're in an environment and you're not with us, but all you keep hearing is your compadres over there talking about us, we need to have a conversation. You need to get out of that environment. You're too focused over here, right? And I can understand why. We're on fire, one big fire. We're on a fire. We've got this momentum, and we want to bring you along for the ride. So hit us up, DM us, and cut those boat anchors. How many need to be cut? Maybe it's Facebook for a month or whatever it is. What's it going to cost you if you don't cut these anchors? And hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Man, this is fun, man. I got page and a half. notes.
I love what you said there, Al, and we can wrap it with this. Cuz, any final thoughts? But it's focus on the customer, right? Don't focus on the competition. And I think that's what a lot of folks are doing right now. They're focused on the competition and they're losing. You don't win by focusing on the competition. You win by focusing on the customer. Like, what does the customer want? Like, what job do they want done? Focus on that and you'll win. Cuz, final thoughts? Take us home.
Man, dude, this was great conversation. I always appreciate it. You guys got me thinking. That's the benefit. We do this for you guys, everybody, but on the side note, we always benefit by doing these calls too. So
yeah, for sure.
it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys, and looking forward to the next one. Let's kill it this week.
Awesome. Honey Badger Nation, if you guys have any questions, thoughts, need anything, hit us up, and we'll see you guys soon.
Oh, yeah. Next week, we're going to announce the winner of the Honey Badger of the Month Award.
Sweet. I love it.
Next
I love it. We can go ahead and vote. So we go to, are we out honeybadgernation.com yet is the link, or is it still, what is the Honey Badger nominee?
Honey Badger Awards. Honeybadgeraward.com. Go to honeybadgeraward.com. We're going to have to put that up in the scroller next time, too.
Okay. I got it.
All right.
We got it. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. See you guys. Let's crush it. See you.
Later.